cannot set up such an environment in which there are no inelastic collisions and there is no loss of energy in sound or other forms of energy. First of all, we will have an overlook on the parameters affecting rate of decay of the Newton's cradle. We have the number of spheres in the Newton's cradle, the material of spheres, the alignment of spheres, and the difference in density of the spheres. Preliminary observation and the theory. First of all, we will look into the relation of material of balls with the rate of decay of Newton's cradle. The rate of decay of Newton's cradle depends inversely with the elasticity of collisions. First of all, I would like to give a brief interview of what I mean by the term elastic collisions. If an object is completely elastic, the combination of kinetic energy before and after the collision is same. The kinetic energy should be the same before and after the collision. It should not change. However, the momentum remains constant. If the material of a sphere is more elastic, we have the examples of stainless steel or titanium, it will decay slower than a sphere which is of inelastic material. We have the example of pool balls and other marbles. Now we have the relation of number of balls with the rate of decay of the Newton's cradle. Energy is dissipated through the strings connected to the spheres. Thus, with more spheres, there will be more energy dissipation per oscillation. As we can all observe that when there are greater number of spheres in the Newton's cradle, there will be greater number of collisions per oscillation, which will increase the rate of decay of the Newton's cradle. If the number of spheres increases, the collisions per oscillation increase, and consequently the rate of decay also increases. As I stated, the diagram to the right shows how spheres collide with inelastic collisions. The diagram here actually represents how the inelastic collisions happen. If there is inelastic collision, the two balls come into each other when they bounce, and this shows that x is the value which we will later use in our formula. Now if we look at the relation of number of balls as we did before, every ball passes energy through inelastic collisions as I stated, and every collision thus certain amount of energy is lost due to inelastic collisions. The greater the number of balls, more inelastic collisions per oscillation and greater the rate of decay. As I showed that the first ball will hit the second ball with inelastic collision, so with the second ball with the third, and the process moves on. If there are greater number of balls, there will be greater collisions in an oscillation and the rate of decay will subsequently increase. Now we will look into the alignment of balls. The alignment of balls is essential in the rate of decay of the Newton's cradle. The spheres should be exactly in front of one another. If a ball is say at an angle of 2 degrees from the previous sphere, the same amount of energy will not be transferred between the balls. The total kinetic energy does not remain the same before and after the collision if the spheres are not perfectly aligned. Here I have a model which will demonstrate the alignment of the spheres. Here we have sphere number 1 and the sphere number 2. Before I start demonstrating, I would like to state some facts. Both the balls are perfectly aligned in this condition and are identical. Both the balls have mass m1. Sphere 1 hits sphere 2 with the velocity of v1. If sphere 1 hits sphere 2 with the velocity of v1 and both have the same mass, here I show the point of collision, and the sphere 2 will move will have the resultant energy of half m1 v1 square, the same as the energy of sphere 1 half m1 v1 whole square, if they are perfectly aligned, that is. Now in this demonstration I show that if they are at a certain angle, how will it affect the rate of decay? Will the collision still be inelastic if they are at a different angle? Once again, I state the facts before I begin the demonstration. Both the balls are aligned at an angle but are identical. Both the balls have mass m1 and sphere 1 hits sphere 2 with the velocity of v1. Now we can observe that the sphere 1 hits sphere 2 at a certain angle instead of having a head-on collision. If sphere 1 had initial energy half m1 v1 whole square and an initial momentum of m1 v1, sphere 2 will not have resultant energy of half m1 v1 square after collision, as not all the energy is transferred from sphere 1 to sphere 2. Here we can see the collision between sphere 1 and sphere 2, and after the collision we can see that certain amount of energy is left in sphere 1 instead of sphere 2, which is the reason that whenever we collide two things at a certain angle, one thing moves in the opposite direction and the other moves in the opposite direction. A ball at an angle will not carry the same energy and the same momentum from its previous ball, causing lesser efficient transfer of energy from one sphere to the other. Thus, if the balls are not perfectly aligned, energy before and after collision among spheres will not remain the same, causing energy loss at an increase in rate of decay of the Newton's cradle. Now we'll move to the experimental setup and the analysis. First of all, we would like to note the energy released per collision. Here I would like to present a formula which says that energy remaining in the system after certain number of collisions can be calculated by energy remaining is equal to 1 minus x whole to the power n. N shows the number of collisions here, while x is the overlap because of inelastic collisions as I showed in the previous diagram. A Newton's cradle which is not in ideal environment loses some energy after every collision, and the energy remaining in the system after all the collisions can be calculated by this formula. Here I would like to address some more formulas before moving on to the experiments. Important formula to determine energy present and energy left in the system. F is equal to m here. This formula we will use here because when we start the ball, we exert a force. To calculate the acceleration of the balls, we know the mass of the balls and we will apply a certain amount of force. When we apply a certain amount of force, we will see that how much force is transferred and the acceleration caused by. The second formula we have is half mv square is equal to mgh. We all know that the formula for kinetic energy is half mv square and the formula for the potential energy is mgh. As a closed system, we suppose that the kinetic energy and the potential energy is same. So when the ball is connected, it has energy mgh, but after colliding, all the balls have energy of half mv square consequently. This is the same formula which I discussed in the previous slide.